Nemesis Reborn sees the return of the iconic coaster after a lengthy retrack, overhaul of Forbidden Valley, and a fresh new soundtrack. Making a comeback with the same layout, a few comments about the ride being overhyped began to crop up. However, that was not the case for me. Nemesis is certainly back with a vengeance, evident through the ride experience. Once you've trekked through the queue, which I'll talk about later, you find yourself inside the alien herself, with alien slop hanging from the loading area where veins contort into the row number. It's hard not to gawk at the theming. The atmosphere is significantly more engaging than the more industrial theme of Nemesis, and the lighting sequence as the train dispatches certainly adds to the excitement. You feel connected to the alien as those iconic strings from the original theme play, and the beast's heart rate increases as the train gains momentum, leaving the station and building anticipation. It's the same cubbyhole system for loose articles in this station, which works well for this compact building, rather than the wristband system on the likes of Wicker Man and 13. Overall, the new station is a huge improvement and will certainly get enthusiasts giddy. It truly feels like you're inside of Nemesis. When on the ride, you'll notice the nice new trains, with fresh restraints that, while firm, don't hurt too much if your head interacts with them. You certainly notice how fresh the trains are. The vibrant red restraints are a big change from the close to moulding ones on the original coaster. The train sets off and you ascend the lift hill, chugging up at the usual pace into that fast turnaround section. The train has always gained a shocking amount of speed just moments after undogging from the chain. However, I would say the train kicks itself around the first corner with more momentum than the original. You don't really appreciate this momentum until you whiz into the corkscrew, however, which forces a previously relaxed restraint down into you, and you feel yourself being pushed forcefully into your seat. With a brief view of the sky, the train ploughs on, taking the inversion with a fresh, forceful and yet floaty speed. Previously, this first inversion would be the start of a bit of a head-banging ride, although here, you get an introduction to the speedy thrill of this reimagined attraction. You are then thrown into the tight downward helix, racing down past jagged rocks as you are once again compressed into your seat. I couldn't help but take a second to think, whoa, this thing is crazy, as it continued to pick up pace, turning the amazing surrounding theming into a blur. It's got a nice bit of force, certainly, because off-ride you get hit with a gust of wind as the train makes its way deeper into the quarry. This section of track deserves its new chunky, sand-filled supports with the way it pulls around that compact element. It definitely builds up momentum for the zero-G rollover Nemesis herself, which causes her to anger and screech. It certainly offers a weightless moment, with the blast of smoke from Nemi as you pass adding a disorienting effect. But the speed of the train gives the inversion a unique feel. Compared to Icon, which takes its zero-G roll slowly, so you really feel the hang time, Nemesis gives more of a slingshot feeling, the force of being pulled up into the inversion and then released into a quick, weightless moment before being propelled into the rest of the layout. Once again, this inversion is taken with whippy speed, where before it felt like the train took its time a tiny bit more. Then, you take a sharp turn around the Phalanx helicopter, brushing past the queue line and down again into the quarry where you ascend the vertical loop. Wow, this inversion is a real standout. Here I'll mention the disparities in ride experience between rows. On the second row, the loop really compresses you into your seat. It's a fast and forceful element that really took me by surprise. On the back row, however, you get forced into your seat as you ascend, but then you get a moment of exhilarating hang time at the top before being dragged weightlessly down by the front of the train. While the first corkscrew and helix are perhaps best enjoyed towards the front, the back row really shines in this moment. The loop has always been a highlight. It is awesome to look at off-ride, and it has such an interesting mix of forces while on-ride. You then take a nice wide bank out in front of the alien, which isn't anything special, but it serves as a moment for appreciation as the landscape becomes less blurry before you are quickly sent into a tunnel, then out into another corkscrew, which throws you out next to an abandoned tour bus that plays a randomised sound effect. With legs dangling in a Nemesis fashion, this is, in my opinion, the tightest inversion. Its theming is compact, the delivery is fast, and no matter what row you're in, it's likely your face will be hugging the side of the restraint. Thankfully, this inversion is painful no more. Where Nemesis would turn from a delightfully thrilling attraction to a bit of a headache, Reborn maintains its status as an incredible inverted coaster. It's like the cherry on an adrenaline cake, just one more inversion to blow your mind, and just one more element to prove that this coaster doesn't let up until the brake run. This is where the ride corners and rolls you into the brake run, with your hair all over the place, tears rolling down your face from the breeze smacking you, and a pretty big smile. The ride, start to finish, is unrelenting. It's wild, it's hilarious, it's forceful. It's what you want from a thrill ride. Good fun, an engaging theme, and an exhilarating layout. Of course, there's one little detail I've omitted: the mysterious rattle. Many people have brought it up, and when I first rode it on the second row, I heard and felt nothing. From off-ride, I heard no rattling. However, on the back row you can hear a little clunking on the wide bank, and there's a slight shudder on the 0G roll. Is it bad? Absolutely not. With a ride on the front of the train, it would have been unnoticeable. The coaster remains smooth, and the buttery roar of the coaster overpowers any rattling sound. I had to listen out for it to see if it was still there, and while it is, it won't take away from the amazing ride experience. I don't really have a preference for a seat based on my experience. The back row gives you a thrilling feeling of being pulled around the track, with the second half of the layout being a highlight. However, the front half of the train gives you forceful pushes into your seat throughout the entire layout. It's always a good thing when it rides like a charm throughout the entire train. On to the merch, which you'll find in the Bunker 94 shop, named after the year Nemesis originally opened. There is a pretty nice selection of merchandise, from pocket money collector items such as pin badges, keyrings and patches, to more expensive resins, clothes such as the lovely Nemesis denim jackets, t-shirts and jumpers, so this shop has something for everyone. I personally picked up a keyring and both of John Wardley's books, though I was definitely tempted by the quality of the clothing. You could definitely drop an outrageous amount of money in that shop, fueled on the adrenaline of riding Nemesis. Not to mention, it's incredibly well themed, with detailed models of the Nemesis train and station, and nods to the original ride, featuring the alien's original tiny eyeball. The references in the shop remind me of Attic of Antiquities for Curse at Alton Manor, where the original bookshelves from Jewel are dotted around the building. As for the whole Forbidden Valley area, it has received a significant glow-up. A full-scale helicopter is the entrance centrepiece, surrounded by crates containing Nemesis eggs, tying Subterra nicely into the area. The fairground games and food stalls are metal-clad to fit the theme of the Phalanx research facility, though the attempts to make the quote-unquote arcade not an eyesore haven't worked as well. Still, the out-of-place arcade doesn't take away from the overall wonder of the area. The new Forbidden Valley entrance sign is a nice touch too, with veins twisted into the words Forbidden Valley growing over a sign for the Phalanx containment zone. As you walk down into the containment zone, you will hear the roar of Nemesis Reborn, although it's not as loud as its predecessor, alongside its glossy new track overtaken with veins and the alien herself. It's quite bizarre how much of a difference it makes when you slap an eye onto the station. You feel connected to the alien. You see its anger and pain and fear as the train twists over it, screeching and moving its gaze frantically. It might just be a projection in a Perspex dome, but it has a unique scale to it. It towers over you in the way it engages with the coaster, with its teeth claw things moving intermittently. It makes for a really cool effect. You will also notice live performers hanging about the alien, such as Phalanx staff in their hazmat suits scanning guests, people protesting for the alien's treatment, the driver of the mushroom cloud tour bus that Nemesis destroyed, and reporters. This adds a new depth to the area. It gives you something to react to when you're not on the ride, or even if you choose not to ride at all. Guests may feel flustered when a Phalanx staff member scans them over and tells them they are breaching the containment zone, only to discover it is simply an actor, making for a hilarious memory. Similar to Curse at Alton Manor, roaming actors give people a human connection to rides that keeps you coming back for more memorable interactions.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, I'm alright. Oh, good stuff.
Now, let's talk operations. With a throughput of 1,400 guests per hour, this ride can easily beat out a winding queue. and the staff rise to this statistic. With multiple ride-ups per train, efficiently checking restraints, and the usual announcements to remove your seatbelt before rolling into the station, they keep the trains coming. Towards the end of the day, the queue was at 85 minutes, however this quickly plummeted to 40, where I joined the queue at 4:15. By 20 to 5, I had taken a back row ride on Nemesis Reborn. The operations were simply incredible, and I totally respect the staff for being so hardworking throughout that busy day. This means the queue is constantly shuffling through the reimagined extended queue line. While the queue is quite a trek, taking you up into the hilly landscape of the quarry, they thought about this by providing interesting things to look at. From the phalanx laser, which blasts the beast as the train whizzes past, the rolling pre-show explaining the law, which I did a video on, to pieces of track that the alien has ripped up and unique vantage points marked with binoculars or a widened path space, there is always something to look at. Considerations such as these are great, because while the theming wouldn't keep guests in a stationary queue entertained, the operations keep it constantly moving, so there is usually always something to look at. Not to mention, this queue line is quite close to the track, so you get some amazing views of the turnaround section, around the sit back it's fright time helicopter, and simply stunning views over the entire coaster. Overall, it's a nice scenic queue that you wouldn't usually spend that much time in. I'll just quickly add that the soundtrack playing throughout the area massively enhances your time in the queue and the area as a whole. I could speak for a while about this wonderful score, from its loud moments where the original theme is interjected, showing the restlessness of the alien, to the softer, more sedated moments where the beast is portrayed as hurt, or to the phalanx, more mysterious. It's a gorgeous soundtrack which you can listen to on Apple Music or Spotify, so I highly recommend you check it out. Nemesis Reborn is absolutely a 5-star coaster for me. It's great to have this coaster back on the roster at Alton Towers, and the retracking work has made unmistakable improvements to the ride experience, alongside allowing the park to start turning Alton Towers into a highly themed attraction. I'm a big fan of the work that has been done in Forbidden Valley as a whole. I could sit and talk about how great this coaster is. It has made so many people into theme park enthusiasts, but I want to hear what you think, so make sure to like, comment and subscribe to share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, bye bye!